Hello guys and girls, and welcome back to another episode on the Falcon YouTube channel. Really excited for today's episode. We're going to be talking about what's holding you back from becoming consistent. Now, in order for you to be consistent, you need to be consistent on the charts first. This is actually one of the big reasons that holds people back. They're not consistent enough on the charts. They don't do the things they know they need to do. They don't do the journaling, they don't do the back testing, they don't do the forecasting. They slack a lot of the time. So very, very important. I want to show you visually on the charts what that actually does to your year from a performance perspective. Very, very important. Some of the biggest things that hold you back is just doing these simple things over and over again. And a lot of people that I speak to from time to time, they say things like, I've taken a couple of weeks off the charts, I've taken a break. And to me, that's insane. For you to want to master this and you want to achieve that mastery level, and of course, we're always learning, we're forever a student in that sense, but get to a level where you're consistently profiting, get into a level where you can consistently do this unconsciously and have that competence. That takes time and dedication. So you have to develop the consistency on the charts and your processes first for you to get the outcome of consistency in the first place. So excited to dig in. Let's start off. I'm going to show you a few examples. We've got dollar CAD here. So what do I mean? Well, it's really important to understand this. So many people, we see this corrective period here as we're just moving sideways. They take breaks. They go into this holiday mode, especially in the summer period in the UK time. This is quite common for traders to think, do you know what, I'm going to take a bit of a break. And then you miss the heavy impulses. You miss these big legs and you wonder why you're not getting these trades. But the truth is, the corrective periods prime us to be able to take advantage of the impulsive periods. But if you're just waiting for the market to, happen and then react, then you'll forever be, not getting involved in these positions. So it shapes you. So let's take a look at this. I'm just going to briefly mark this up. Let's say, for example, we're looking at this period here. This is something we was looking at in Falcon for a lot of time, and some of the biggest percentages were made on this leg. How long were we anticipating this for? For a while, right? So we just mark this up. We have our typical move here. So we've got our impulse, our correction, our continuation. We were looking at this overall move for a while, targeting the low, right? Well, look at the period. Where are we? 22nd of June. And where do we finish? Around here at 26th of July, right? So not far off, a month or so moving to a little bit lower. But as you can see, it didn't take a long period of time to achieve that. So how much percentage was made or could have been made there was loads of entries, we didn't get every single one of them, but how much percentage can be made in an impulsive leg? If you're the type of person that you've caught yourself saying things like, well, do you know what, I'm not really that interested in dollar CAD because look, it's just moving sideways, right? It's just moving sideways, not too much of a fan of it, and guess what, boom, this happens. You're wondering, how do I get involved in that trade? It's a lack of planning, lack of forecasting, and constantly taking days off on the charts and thinking that you know exactly when that's going to happen. But think about the psychology behind that. You kind of going on the charts when you feel like it. You're basically saying you know exactly when there's going to be momentum, exactly when there's going to be these big moves. You don't. Nobody knows. So you need to remain consistent on the charts. And when you can be patient through these corrective periods, then you're going to take advantage of these impulsive periods. These impulsive periods can make your year. That's the most important thing to understand here. And what have we got now? We've had a replication of that. Look at the price action. What have we got? A big corrective period. And what are we expecting? We're expecting a couple of things. Either the bigger move to the downside or a particular running channel here where it can move to the upside and test the highs again. Probability-wise, we'll be expecting this to come to the downside. Whether this particular structure moves up, creates a double top, or hits this outer structure first, before this pattern completes. Now that's a different story, but ultimately we're doing the things and remaining consistent on the charts, so then we're able to achieve the consistency and take advantage of these moves when they happen. That is the most important aspect. So I think by knowing those things as a trader, that really is the key thing. So that's that on dollar CAD, and I really want to showcase that because these impulsive legs, they can make your year, and if you're ready for them, honestly, they're huge. So that's the key part that I think that really holds people back. So if we move to the next part on dollar yen, looking at this on the daily chart, this is another reason. So we see this move to the downside, this momentum. We was looking at this for a while, and if you look at the months that we're in here, we're looking at July towards August. It's really common for people to just see prices moving sideways, not too much of a fan of it. I'll just wait a little bit longer. But what we're doing is that these corrections that we look at, they form different various patterns. Now, what we have here, this is a particular Falcon flag. Now, I won't go into too many details as to why and why they form and things like that, but overall, we're anticipating them. So how do we capitalize on these moves to fill the wick? and see this at the low here? Well, we do that because we forecast it ahead of time, we're on the charts, we're prepared, and then we take advantage of it. And the key thing that I want to go over here is another little detail. If we go to the 1 hour, which just emphasizes the same message about news versus structure. If you haven't already, go and check out our recent videos of news versus structure. And when you look at this here, you look at this price action here, this is when FOMC was coming out. So what do? We get a push up and then we get the push down. There was a few patterns that we look at here on the lower time frames, on the 1 hour and the 15, to be able to get into this trade that was, a very, very decent profit. But looking at it from this perspective, if you're just looking at sideways price action, you're not going to take advantage of these trades. And you have to start asking yourself, how many of these positions do you need to see play out for you to realize that in order for you to capitalize, you need to be on the ball, you need to be prepared, and you need to be focused. So what is the main thing really holding you back from consistency? It's your ability to stay focused when no one else is. It's your ability to understand that all of these kind of old myths of don't trade on a Monday, don't trade on a Friday, or don't do this. Look, the market's evolved. The market's always adapting and evolving. You need to evolve with it. But one of the biggest reasons why you don't develop your consistency, I honestly feel like it's because it's your lack of patience. It's you not being on the charts as much as what you should be. It's your lack of persistence to learn, and actually focus on your processes, so then your outcome can become better. But it's this typical kind of employee mindset. It's this typical I'm going to take a break, I'm going to take 2 weeks off and this. And then guess what? It could be, think of the 80-20 rule, right? How many of these impulsive legs can be your 20%? It could be the 20% of these trades that you take makes 80% of your profits, and sometimes makes all of your profits, that you're focusing on that. So it's just understanding that don't switch off, because it's the ones that are on it all the time, the ones that are more in tune with the market, and those are the ones that tend to succeed a lot more. So I hope this has given you a bit of perspective, because I think that sometimes we're trying to point fingers on strategy, we're trying to point fingers on all of these other things as maybe sometimes why we have a lack of, or why we haven't got the results yet. But the truth is, sometimes it's a lack of our focus, and that we're not on it all the time, and we're utilizing all these excuses of the summer period and all these kind of things. Just have your focus on your processes, and I promise you, as a side effect, you will have a great outcome. And that sometimes is the biggest thing that you can do. So really hope you've enjoyed this episode on that, because I want you guys and girls to start capitalizing on these moves, regardless of what strategy you trade. When these impulsive conditions come, I want you to start taking advantage of them, because they can make your year. And how many of these do you want to keep missing, right, before you realize, right, something's got to change and I need to be more prepared and more focused. So hope you've enjoyed this episode, and guys and girls, I will speak to you soon. Have a successful weekend.